What's up, everybody? It's Smitty. I'm here with the Learn to Train seminar with James Smith, the thinker on the Q&A staff. We had the opportunity today to pick his brain, and I have some questions to ask him. He just got done with your presentation. How do you think it went?
I think it went well. I was pleased that I was able to concentrate, part of what I spoke about, concentrate the information into the provided time slot.
Right.
It's something that I'm always challenged with. I think it went over well.
Yeah, it did. James talked about block periodization and how it was applicable to powerlifters. So that was something that a lot of the attendees were really interested in. I liked how you talked about concurrent and conjugate periodization and how it was stacked and the intensities and different things like that. What are just high level, tell the viewers about block periodization, just on the high level, what it means as far as loading, maybe even exercise selection and different things like that.
Well, as I said in the lecture, it's important to distinguish between the block training system and block periodization. Block training system pioneered by Voroshansky, block periodization pioneered by Isserin. However, again, as I stated, there's more commonalities than there are differences. And to paraphrase what I spoke about, it is key that it is only applied towards that pool of candidates who are most effectively prepared and well suited for it. So before you even discuss its nature, it's important to understand who will most effectively tolerate the stress associated with it, and by default, who requires that degree of concentrated loading stress to further improve that last percentage of human performance limits, whatever they have remaining. And that is why it was pioneered on already high-level athletes in terms of their physical preparation, because it requires a concentrated stimulus to improve that last bit, whereas everything works the lower the level you go. You have to be getting all things high as well.
So if you're going, what you're saying is, if you're going to implement block periodization for an athlete, like in their general physical preparedness, was at a low level, their work capacity, how would you bring that up to prepare them for the model?
I wouldn't even introduce it. I would continue seeking, as I discussed, always the minimum effective dose. It doesn't mean to arbitrarily simplify the training for its own sake. It means, what sport are they competing in? What does the sport require? How much can we minimize the training load necessary to improve sport results relative to their state of physical preparation? So I wouldn't be in a hurry to introduce block training methodology to any particular population. It's more a result of what did they necessitate to further improve the sport results where they are now. Finding the least amount necessary, because by going with that least amount, the minimum effective dose, you're going to most effectively ensure long-term improvements. As I stated, by concentrating it too early, intensifying the load for a young athlete, or regardless of chronological age, someone who's young in their trainedness, not only will you overstress their system because they don't have the capacity to effectively tolerate intensive loading, you'll be damaging their system in various ways. You'll also truncate the room for long-term improvement.
So talking about training, adaptation, intensity, what, in your opinion, what has worked for you as far as restorative modalities? Some of the things that prepare them maybe within a block to recover fast enough for the next training session?
A lot of that, this is something that is a bit subjective or relative to what your working environment is. If I were to talk about what I was able to do at the high school level and privately versus at the university, when it comes down to is funds, resources, what do you have access to? So that said, I can speak within the framework of what I had access to and available. And so at the university, we were fortunate to have very logistically accessible hot tubs, cold tubs, many muscle stim units, ice, contrast, as a result of the tubs and the showers, aside from the manual techniques that I began to use. So those different types of therapies are appropriate in different circumstances. Not all of them, or rather, some like low-level muscle stimulation that does not induce muscle technique. If it's just twitching, you can do that anytime. There is no inappropriate time to do that type of stimulation. It's only going to be restorative. It doesn't compete with anything. Whereas a hot tub or just for instance, you wouldn't sit in a cold tub for extended periods of time before an activity. So there's a time and a place for everything, but most of the non-mechanical modalities consisted of the hydrotherapy treatments, the ice, and the mechanical modalities with the muscle stim and manual techniques that I've taught myself over the years in terms of just basic soft tissue, different types of massage, depending on where and when in the cycle, and really getting the athletes from a time economy standpoint. Working in the small groups that we did, I was able to have the athletes do P&F stretching on one another, so that was part of their warm-up. So we did a very good job, and I think one way, as I mentioned, there's so many facets involved in the physical preparation field, especially at the collegiate level, because most of it is directed towards team sports. Right. And so many of the monitoring efforts are misdirected in terms of qualifying how good of a job everyone is doing, because it's currently, a record on a weight room wall, right, which in most cases has nothing to do with the sport results that the athletes participate in. So monitoring is a big issue there that's important to segue into, because the means by which you measure progress need to be directed towards the sports the athletes are playing. And so recovery work gets tied in there, and it becomes, unfortunately, an afterthought that I've seen in many environments. Again, because of what I mentioned regarding this thought period that a young in chronological age athlete can handle anything, throw anything at them, they can handle it, they're young, they'll recover, and it's mistaken. It's not that they have this exceptional recovery ability, it's that they don't have the power output potential to truly destroy themselves like I